Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us in this episode of African and African Leadership Project. And today we are going to be talking about something important, something that has to do with the value in leadership. And you know that in leadership, of course, like we have often stressed in this podcast, it's not something that it's not a role just for everybody, even though many people can actually train themselves, improve themselves to occupy the position of leadership. Of course, we talk about leadership also from the point of view of business, in family, or things like that, but we concentrate mainly on political leadership because the project was born from that perspective. So in this episode of the podcast, like I said before, we're going to concentrate on the value. I mean, for the people that we elect into the position of authority, how important is it for us that they should have certain quality, certain value that is guiding them? All right, now, Mr. Leo, to start with, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself so at least they can have an idea of who you are?
Thank you very much. This is Leo Odighizuwa. By the grace of God, I am an author, and the best way to describe me is to say an educator and an entrepreneur.
All right, thank you very much for that, Mr. Leo. Today, the thing that we are going to be talking about is leadership, and we are looking at value and track record. How would you describe leadership sort of in a general sense? What would leadership mean to you in a kind of a general way? Please go.
Leadership is about carrying people along and bringing about a positive change. Leadership is about, influencing a people towards a better life, towards a better way of living. And so that is the general definition of leadership. But when it comes to personal, as an individual, I am always concerned about values. That's what does this leader hold strongly that is actually a good quality with which such a person can influence me and influence the world to a positive direction.
Mm-hmm. That is great. Influence. I think it's John Maxwell that was saying that leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. So if we elect somebody to lead us, it means that we are allowing this person to influence us. Of course, it influences us in very many ways. He talks for us. When that is an international meeting, maybe at the United Nations, for example, he's the one that goes there usually. Okay, talking of in terms of president, for example, he's the one that talks there. Okay, this one can be an argument for another day because we have to look at also the kind of talk that they talk about us there. All right, that is fine. Now, because it's about influence, and because somebody that come to represent us need to have certain value, how important is this value system that you also make mention of, that value for you is important? How much is it important that the person that come to represent us, speak for us as a leader, whether a governor of a state or the president of Nigeria in this case, should have? I mean, how important is our value in this kind of role?
Yeah, value is very important because that is actually the foundation block, the hidden side of leadership. Values is what the leader values, what he holds strongly. Take, for example, somebody like Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. Would he have stayed 27 years in prison if he had accepted an offer? Because certainly there was an offer, there was a negotiation. Don't do this, you won't be in prison anymore. But do this, you will remain in prison. So when we're talking about values, we are saying that what does this leader hold strongly that no matter what, he's not ready to compromise or he's not ready to bend. And it is with such values that he will be able to influence the bigger world or the bigger populace. Values are very, very important because that is what will make him or her to actually make the positive impact that is expected of such a leader. Without values, he will never be respected, and his tenure in office will just be a mere say of passing through the office, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. All right, talking always of value will be, of course, be the theme of discussion today. How do you evaluate or assess the leaders we have in Nigeria in terms of value? We can talk about the governor of Edo State, for example, or maybe the Nigerian president, or generally the kind of leaders that we have. How do you assess them in terms of the value system that they have, of course, in relation, because when we take a leader to examine, we examine that leader based on what the leader does to the people. So when we say Nigerian leader, we're looking at a Nigerian leader in relation to the Nigerian people. So how do you assess our leaders in this sense?
Assessing them is very easy. Let me give you an example. I went somewhere in a shop, and having paid for my service, the person gave me some money beyond the change. So I returned the money, the extra, back. So how do you assess leaders? Is to find out what are the things they stand for. And these things are very, very easy to check. Because if we go to our society, we see that, for example, where everybody is concerned about corruption. But all of us needed to start really being inquisitive, or how do people make their money? You know, how do people make their money? So there should be a transparency, a sense of interview, a sense of dialogue, a sense of being able to evaluate where this person that says he is a leader stands. You know, so that is a very good signal that this person can carry the people along. Apart from corruption, you also look at where does the person stand in terms of character. Where does the person stand in terms of character? Where does the person stand in terms of relationship? So all these things matters a lot, because somebody will not just wake up and just become that person. There has to be different stages of offices he has been to, services that he has rendered, you know, values that he has displayed in one way or the other, that we can be able to use to say of a truth, this person is more qualified to handle the bigger picture of office. So assessing them is not difficult. It's only when people don't want to talk about where they are coming from, talk about the offices where they serve, the things they've done. That is where we now say, okay, but if we allow people to talk about it today, for example, talk about journalism. Journalists should be allowed to ask questions, to interview these people, to present them to the public, so that people can be able to know where they are coming from and some of the things that they have been able to do.
All right, okay, that is fair enough. Now, is it possible okay, let me first of all start by, how satisfied are you of Nigerian leaders in relation to the Nigerian people?
When it comes to our leadership, I think personally, I'm not satisfied. Remember also that this comes from an individual basis, individual thought, on individual expression. And I'm not surprised too, because I use myself as an average, because every leader is an average of the people. So first of all, I look at my history. I look at compromises that I have compromised in the past. I look at how I was able to come out of those compromises. I look at what brought about the conviction that there is no need for compromise anymore in my life. So by the time I use that alone as a case study, and I look at other Nigerians like me who are yet to be awakened to the fact that compromising every day, living the way you like, doing things anyhow, is never going to bring any good result in leadership, in government, then it makes me realize that I am not surprised at where Nigeria is or at where our state is. So that's the reason why I would say I'm not satisfied. And I'm also saying that it is not that I'm trying to push all those dissatisfaction on the current government, but I'm trying to say that it has to do with the average of who we are as a people, as a tribe. That if on individual basis we can be awakened to our individual responsibilities, that alone will now help. It's just like, for example, let me give you an example now. Okay, as an individual, if the governor, decides to come to my house and say, okay, there is some money that I can give you as a gift or as a token, will I accept now? If it's before, I will accept. But now we say, okay, this money is for the general public. Why should I accept? You see the change. But most people who want a governor there or a leader there might just be interested in the benefit, just the benefits that they are going to get from the governor or from the leader. So you see that the perspective is not the same. Is it not J.F. Kennedy or Abraham Lincoln that said, one of the leaders that said, do not think of what the country is going to do for you. Think of what you are going to do for the country. So majority of people are concerned about what to get, what to benefit, without thinking of what to give, what to put in terms of character, in terms of integrity, in terms of effort.
That is a challenge, and that is what we have to resolve as a people, because now it falls on the table of the people, because every single Nigeria is very fast in blaming the administration, the government, and which of course are performing poorly. So, but what you are saying in here now is that is actually a representation of the Nigerian society, a representation of the Nigerian people. Does it mean we are in a kind of a hopeless situation in that the people are they are the one that produce the government of their kind? Therefore, their government is a representation of them. Does it mean we are sort of locked in this situation, or is there a sort of a way out? What do we do now? Okay, so in the case of Nigeria, looking at the Nigerian government, that is sort of a representation of the Nigerian people, and the performance is too poor. What do we then do? What do we do? Do we wait for the government to change the situation, or should the Nigerian people change the? Where do we start from in this case?
I think we both sides can help. Let me give you a little instance. When I was traveling back from Nigeria, I got to the airport and I had excess luggage. And after they weighed the bag, they said I will need to pay for the excess luggage. So I said, okay. In my mind, I already made up my mind that I will pay for excess luggage. So I was whispered to, all these people walking around there, say, there is a way we do them. There is a way we do it. You just, instead of you to pay that amount, you just bring this amount and you will still go with the load. So remember, when I do that, I can actually go with bag. I saw people who were saying they did that even when we entered the aeroplane. But I said, no, I'm going to pay for the excess luggage. And so I went straight to the CASA, to the office where the excess luggage payment is being done, and I made the payments. So yes, it is painful, or it is not an easy choice, but it is better to do the right thing. So in that little one I just did, I have contributed to a good society, and I have influenced the people around me, because they have seen somebody who could do the right thing. Although they might not, other people might not, everybody might not value it, but to an extent, something positive has gone. So what I'm trying to say is that from my own personal angle, I'm influencing. So it's also good if we can see a governor or a leader who can also stand out. So it will now be coming from both ends, from the people and from the leadership. The only thing I have observed is that most of the good leaders, the few ones that want to stand out, we also have a lot of bad political leaders who will use their money, who will use fake news, false accusations, different things to force out the good one, just like what played in those state politics, that became like a tug of war, So those cases are really, really there where people tend to oppress the good ones. I read in a book where a man said, in a corrupt society, the good ones are always having tough time. While in a good society, in an incorrupt society, the corrupt ones will be having tough time. So you see that it's an opposite statement. Where you have corrupt society, the good ones will be having tough time because they will be suppressing them. But when you come to a good society, an incorrupt society, you see that the corrupt ones, the bad ones, will be having tough time. So, but the summary of what I'm saying is that the little we can do, there is hope. If we can have few people who can become awakened and say, let me do the right thing, whether I'm in the airport, whether I'm at the police station, whether I am at a place where I need to, render some services, instead of looking for shortcuts, easy way out, let me do the right thing. I think with that little steps, we can be able to raise up the expectation of the general public.
All right, thank you very much. We just touch a little the second part of the argument, the second part of the problem, which is the track record. Then I'll just ask you a few things about the solution, then we are done, because I know we already spent so much time here today. All right, now, because the leadership position is very attractive, very important, it's very vital, it's so vital for the survival or the progress of a society, it is not an office just for everybody, no? And so that is why when we were talking before, you made mention of track records, in that before we get somebody into that position, we need to be able to sort of do our homework, the minimum as an individual. But to the people who are the kingmaker, they need to really understand that this individual that is coming to this position is qualified. Sorry to use the word, is qualified. It's not leadership by birth. This is leadership by representation. It's democracy. It is not because I am the son of Oba, so I will become the next Oba. No, that is a different kind of system. This is called Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is the Nigerian people that elect their leader. It is not because the leader was born from a particular tribe or he knows who knows what. It must be based on your deliverance, because the future of this country depends on you. If that is the case, what should the Nigerian people do? I mean, the average, let's say the individual Nigerian do in terms of trying to find out, do our track, because the society, I believe, is a living thing, where every part of it should be living, in that it's like a body. The ear is a living thing of its own. It is responding to the entire human nomenclature. The eyes is another part of its own. The function of the ear is not the same function of the eyes. The same is true of the mouth, the hand, the legs. So the Nigerian government cannot do all the work. The Nigerian Secret Service cannot do all the work. The police cannot do all the work. The army cannot do all the work. There is part of the work for each and every Nigerian. You are a journalist, you are a writer, you are a pastor, You are an imam, you are a traditional ruler. How are you contributing to a better Nigeria? So in terms of the track record, how should we help, the individual Nigeria, in making sure that we do not blindly bring a thief to become our leader, or an irresponsible individual? Because this person grew up, he lived among us, we know him.
I think what every one of us should be doing now is we should be more concerned with results. That's just it. When your child starts school, every year they bring results. Every year. So every one of us should be concerned about results. Let's not be suppressing results, because all of us does not have the same level of intelligence. Some people are more intelligent than some people. So the Nigerian sector, everybody is just talking about, it's like everybody is just talking about politics, but people are not talking about results. They are two different things. Politics, then first results. Results, what I mean by result, performance. Is this person capable? Is he able? That's why you see that there are a lot of drunkards, hoodlums, armed robbers. People are becoming politicians. They just agberos, they just fall in. Because I am concerned about results. Now, if I see that you don't have the result, like I said, I have my personal values. So your leadership cannot influence my personal values. So no matter anything that person is doing, whether he's a millionaire or not, I will just abandon the person. So the mistake, let me just quickly say something. One of the mistakes we are making as a people is that everybody is just talking about politics. Leadership is even far from politics. Politics is part of it, but it's really far. So if you look at the world we are living in today, for example, there are some terms that some of our leaders don't even know about. I'll give you an instance. In 2016, between 2016 2017, there was this the rise of cryptocurrency, the blockchain. And when they were discussing, somebody, a very close friend of mine in church, was the first person that started introducing me to it. So then I will go to the internet and make my research. I discovered that the price was going up. So he will be telling me, buy, if you don't buy this thing. I will say, is this not 419? After reading, I discovered the way the thing was going up, one Bitcoin got to about 3,000 something. I said, so I just decided, I said, no, this thing, enough of doubting and wondering whether it's true or not true. Then I registered myself, everything in the blockchain, and bought my own quarter, the one that some little money that I have. So since 2017, I think by the time I finally bought, it was already 4,000 euros for one Bitcoin. So 2017, it was just there. What I bought was there, like that. And as at yesterday, one Bitcoin, I'm looking at CNBC in the news, one Bitcoin is about $33,000. And they are still forecasting. Yesterday, they forecast and predicted that the Bitcoin is still going to run to about $146,000 per Bitcoin. So I went to I said, this thing I bought since 2017. So I went, checked my email, I called him, I called my friend. I said, look, the Bitcoin I bought, I said, he called me, he said, look, I said, okay. I went to go and check. So I discovered that the money I used to buy, I had made 150% of what I put there. So I told him, I said, first of all, let me enjoy the little profit I made first. I said, so what I need to do is to withdraw my 150% and still leave the capital there. The same amount I used to buy in 2017 to still be there. So I actually went and I withdraw. I said, when I hold the money in my hand, I said, wow. So this little story I just told you now, there is a leadership drive that has gone beyond just politics. So people are just in politics. So, and they are not into other things. There is other sectors that is booming, that is evolving, that is coming up, and people are not even aware, but they will just be politics. In fact, I have seen a future where politics will no longer have relevance. It will only just be title. Now, the coronavirus you are seeing today is beyond politicians because they are running to look for solution up and down, but there is a drive, there is something that is happening that people are not aware of. There is a drive to combine biotech with infotech. That's what is happening in the secret. They want to, there is a drive to combine human beings with technology. So, and this thing, there are leaders. You cannot hold them to ransom. Why did I tell you about blockchain, the cryptocurrency? The politicians, you cannot go anywhere now, go and hold somebody to ransom about the cryptocurrency. So the technology world, there is a leadership boom going on in the technology world. There is a leadership boom going up even in, people have not even, there are some leaders, they have not heard the word genetic engineering. Little sectors I just mentioned now, they are all evolving, they are all coming up. You know, there is what they call the artificial intelligence. So these sectors is taking over. That's the world is heading towards that, and people are just talking about politics. So what am I trying to say is that politics is a term that we are still, the general population or the general people is like they are used to it. So many of these politicians are just fighting within it because of their selfish interest. But the true leadership drive is beyond politics. And so we need to begin to raise awareness. We need to begin to talk more about leadership, bring out all the different sectors. So if Nigeria can come up with a way of, let me just give you another example. Now, there was this riot that happened last year about SARS, NSARS. Do you know why? Because the Nigerian politics, they are far from the technological world. Now, they talk about the Yahoo boys. They talk about 419. These things are now driven in technology. You see, people see them in the computer and they just hack into accounts. And when they hack into accounts, they withdraw millions into their account. Now, the Nigerian government are just sitting down there, thinking politics. Somebody is using his intelligence. So how do we now have leaders who are going to be ahead of all these different sectors that we are talking about now? How do we have leaders who are going to be ahead in other sectors? Yes, we are just using titles and offices to just be playing. My concern is that we should begin to talk about performance. We'll say 5 years ago, what was this person's performance? 10 years ago, what was his performance? 3 years ago, what was his performance? We should be looking at year in, year out performances so that we can know where this person is at a given stage. And any leader that is trying to hide from performance or that is trying to suppress performance, we should just rule that leader out. So let every Nigerian become concerned. If I know that you are more intelligent than me, I should appreciate you and encourage you to do more. I should not suppress you. And once we see somebody who is having performance, who performed last year, let's give the person more courage. Let's not suppress the person. If all Nigerians can become concerned about performances, results of what an individual is doing, that will help us a long way. And I can tell you, the solution to the change in the country will just come. Why? Because with performances being exposed, good leaders, capable hands, people who are qualified will begin to take their different offices or positions.
Thank you very much, Leo. This has been really very interesting because, in fact, that is that is the central part of the entire argument, no? In that there is a role that each and every one of us need to play in this project of our survival, because it is the survival of our people that we are talking about. Of course, so that we be able to make a contribution also in the world that we have. It is not that the individual African Nigeria, when they travel overseas or even right in Nigeria, they are not making their contribution. Of course, they are doing a lot of things. There are a lot of things being invented continuously every day, but of course, at their level. Now, you imagine maybe somebody that is able to produce car in Nigeria, but of course, produce it in his own level because he doesn't have any resources, so he's able to do it so micro one. Yeah. Now, there is somebody in Nigeria who has the money to be able to finance this project. If you do not finance the project because you are thinking that if I do it, then he will become if we have this kind of idea of taking only for yourself, then we are not going to go anywhere. Now, talking of leadership, those things that you make mention of are very important, no? Okay, now, human beings have evolved. It is not going to be possible anytime, never again, that the liberty that you can have complete freedom, you are always going to be under one leadership or another. That is for certain. Because the system must go on. What does that also mean is that you might not like this particular system, but you need to invent another system. But the human society need to be governed by law, by rules. There must be leader. The role of leadership is going to always be important. That is why it is also very important that this leader should educate the people. What I've understood personally, also based on talking to other people and reading, is that the majority of the African people have very poor political idea, very poor political consciousness. That is the right word I want to say. Have very poor political consciousness. And the reason that the government does this is that they want to rule over ignorant people. Ignorant, not that they don't know anything, but in terms of leadership, they know very little. And of course, this helps them to be able to maneuver, to manipulate the people continuously, so that it is not a question of who is more qualified. It's not a question of result that you are saying, no? It's not a question of what can you do. Yeah. It's a question of where do you come from? Are you the son of, were you born like, because that's, like I was saying before, like maybe, for example, the regime of Oba, the Emir, and the Igwes. These are systems that, in my view, have probably overstayed their time. Part of them should be taken to the museum. The time have changed for it. Is that we need to be looking for who is able to deliver. We don't know. I don't want to know where the Nigerian president is coming from. I don't want to know whether you are a Christian or you are a Muslim. I don't care whether you are Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo. It's not important. It's absolutely irrelevant. What is relevant is that when you become the president of Nigeria, what are you going to do for the Nigerian people? I was listening to Muhammadu Buhari when he was interviewed in US. He was saying something like, okay, you see, some people that voted for me, you can't expect, when people voted for me less, you can't expect that I should treat them the same way with people that voted for me more. I said, oh, what kind of a leader are you? You are the leader of Nigerian people. The reason that you maintain democracy, the reason that the opposition necessarily need to be maintained, otherwise there is not going to be check and balance. You cannot just have only PDP in Nigeria and they continue to win election, for example. It's no longer democratic. Like, for example, maybe like what they have in Cameroon, where Paul Biya is always the president. He always wins. What kind of a democracy is that? We need everybody. We need all the brains. We need what is called mastermind. All the minds of the people need to be put together for the interest of the Nigerian people. We need engineers, we need scientists, we need doctors, we need writers, we need artists, we need...
Just now that leadership is beyond just politics. That leadership cut across other sectors, like the technology, like you said, medicine, there should be a kind of a holistic approach to the different sectors of leadership so that we can now have the best brain that can come out at the end of it all.
Now, because this is a project that belongs to all of us are part of it. You are the hand and the eye, the other one is the ear. If the Nigerian people are clean, they will be able to have clean leader. If Obama rises up in Nigeria, he will perform like every other Nigerian person or Nigerian government. So how do we sort of clean up ourselves so that we can have a clean leader?
Yeah, on individual basis, we need to, first of all, raise your standard. There's what I call TQP. You know, I keep singing into my children. Top quality person. You know, TQP, top quality person. So I always tell him, I say, look, you are a top quality person. I am a top quality person. And what are the things that goes with top quality persons? Honesty, sincerity, humility, you know, hard work, you know. So we should begin to raise top quality persons. And you must tell yourself, say it to yourself, because there are some certain place you will go, you might be tempted to just do things the way you like. But when you remember that you are a top quality person, it will help you to maintain, just like the instance I gave while I was in the airport. So those two instances are there. I am sharing this with you now, not because I just arrived with this kind of thinking. No, I have made compromises before. I have done things that an average Nigerian is known to be doing. You cause confusion, you are stubborn, you tell lies, you want to look for the shortest cut. So now that I accept this quality and I want other people to accept it, then I also share it with them. So that is how individualists, one person change one person. And I can tell you, people are not going to like you. I can tell you, because I have, by the time I started to share with people, I have seen hostilities, people rejecting her. It's just like, for example, as I am now, I'm paying my house rent, and I cannot encourage anybody that is not paying house rent. So when I'm in the midst, when I see people who are just discussing, who are saying, they pay rent, forget that thing, nothing will happen. Of course, you should know immediately that I'm not going to take side in such discussion, and my contribution is going to be different. Like people running to the UK and they are not paying house rent, they know they are going to go, then they will not be taking money to the landlord, and they spoil the names of Nigerians here. So by the time you share something like that, those people who are doing those things, some of them are even preparing to do it. They hear you say something like that, they will be angry. Then they will paint it to like you are criticizing them going to the UK or relocating. But that is not the question. The question is, how are you relocating? So if you do something wrong in the land, if you spoil the image of your people, of your tribe in the land, and you are happy about it, what kind of person are you? So we all have to raise up this standard of top quality persons. Let me just ask a question. How did you think that the Europe or the America or the England or everybody is rushing to go to fight? How did they get there, and how are they still where they are today? It is this little sense of top quality life that they have. Everybody wants to come here. And even so many people, when they now come here, they are still even ready to spoil the place. So let's encourage one another. Let's tell ourselves this truth. Whenever we see somebody that is planning something bad, that is trying to go, on the path of spoiling our image, let's discourage the person. Because there is what they call aiding and abetting. If you see somebody doing something wrong and you are encouraging the person, or you not say something about it, it is considered as aiding and abetting. So let's do all we can to raise our voices, to help people stand out, to be top quality persons. By so doing, gradually, we'll be able to save the entire nation.
All right. Thank you very much, dear Leo. Now, this one is going to be the last question. The other one is going to be a kind of your final reflection to conclude it. No? Now, do you think that the Nigerians abroad, you and me, we are here in Italy, but we're not talking about Italy, then we are talking about Nigeria, because that is where we have our brothers, our sisters, our ancestors are buried in that land. So there is nothing we can do that will ever make us forget where we are coming from. So it is very important that we remember where we are coming from. So particularly to the Africans in diaspora, to the Nigerians in diaspora, many of us, whether you are rich or poor, you are good in this or good in that, I don't know. In your own little way, what do you think that the Nigerians abroad should do to be able to contribute to quality leadership in Nigeria?
Yeah, Nigerians abroad, the first thing is we need to learn. We need to learn from where we are now. Learning means, what are the things that are in the land that we liked, that we admire, that first of all influenced us to come into this environment? Anywhere you are, Germany, France, US, Canada, Australia, what are the things that are in the land that even before we left Nigeria, we were already eyeing it, we were already interested in it? Those things we should find out. Let's not just be living we are in abroad. No, find out, list them out. As simple as being dutiful. That's, you come to an office, you see that the person, the owner of the company or the leader of the company is already there even before you come. He sits down, he has not even clock, he's already there. He's on duty. He's not talking from home. Say he be oga. So little things we learn. Let's learn those things. Then when we now learn those things, we can now carry it back home. So when we now go back home, we will now be displaying it by our, like I said before, action. Because talking and action, they are two different things. In fact, they even said that action speaks louder than words. So we should be looking at the action of people, the action of ourselves. We should observe what we learn from these people and how we are able to talk. Because if we go back home, Nigerians abroad, and people just welcome us from abroad, yeah, you welcome, and they are just admiring us based on that we are from abroad, then we are failed. But if we go back home and we begin to say, no, this thing, you don't do it like this. This is not done like this. You see the way I'm doing this. This is the right thing to do. You see that we have created a nice picture, a good picture before the people we meet back home. So let us first of all learn. The simple word there is learn. Many people are not willing to learn, and that's the misery. If you stay among Nigerians and we are just gisting, the highest people talk about every now and then, he said, this country is better than this country. The other country is better than this country. This country in our country. People they in our country. Everybody, you are in Europe. We are all discussing this country is better than this country. The other country is better than this. If you go to the other country, enjoyment. You see, everybody is just discussing similar. Nobody is discussing this place. If it is this thing that they are just doing alone that we are not doing from our country, if we can learn that one, if we can be able to master that strategy, that will go a long way. So if we either welfare, boy, they better not, they don't see better for this place. No, this person is not enjoying this. The other person is not getting this. This place, they are not enjoying. That's all those kind of discussion. We should outgrow them. We should come to a stage where we say, I am here, I learned this. I am in this country, I was impacted with this character. I am in this society. For example, let me just give you a little example. I told my children, I said, look, when I was growing up, my father would tell me, Learn to thank you. Say thank you. When they give you something, say thank you. But I learned in Italy that whether you want to take the thing or you don't want to take it, you are still going to say thank you. For example, if they offer me coffee, say, why cafe? I say, why cafe? I said, no, grazie. I learned it from the Italians. How did I learn it? Because I observed that as I came into the land, anytime they say, why cafe? Once I say no, I will just say no is end. I see that the person, I observed that some few people face me, they will not be, I said, some time ago, the face will be somehow, that the person is not, you ask me whether we take cafe. I said, no, I will not take. And yet, if the person is not happy. So and one day I was not discussing with somebody, and I said, so person say whether we take cafe, and the way he do his face, it's like he's not happy. I never see. He said, no, the Italian was now say, he said, no, he said, tu no capisci. He said, you don't understand. He said, as he tell you want cafe, he said, you just tell him no, grazie. He said, that grazie that I did not add, it's just a sign that I say, I said, okay. So since that, I started practicing it. Now it's now part of me. And I'm not already teaching my children. If somebody say, I said, do you want me to give you €2? If you don't want, you see, say, no, thank you. No, thank you. You are not only saying thank you when you accept. So I grew up from my culture to be saying thank you when they give me something. And I accept. But when I did not take it, or when I did not accept it, I was not learning that ability to say thank you also, and cheerfully too, even when I am not accepting it, with a smile, And I saw that all the people that offer me something and I'm not accepting it, once I now say thank you, I smile, and that's called that their face is now different from what it used to be when I used to say only no. So I just use that as a simple example of so many things to learn in the land that we can now carry over to our society.
All right, with that, we have come to the end of today's podcast, and I want to really thank Mr. Leo for the time that he has spent explaining this whole version of leadership to us, the different value that leaders are supposed to have. Of course, not only leader, but also us, the ordinary people, the individual African, the individual Nigerian, the individual human being, wherever you are. Because this responsibility is not only for the person that is at the helm of our affair, but also for you, the ordinary people. So I really want to thank him for the time. And I thank you also that you have stayed there and listened to us to the end of this podcast. So continue in your own way, in your own area, in your own domain. Continue to improve yourself in your leadership quality, because you need it. Whether you are in business for yourself, or you are working for somebody, or in your family, or you are aspiring to be a political leader, all of us, we all need to have this certain value, this quality that sort of make us stand out from the rest of the people. I remember by everyone from African Docs Leadership Project. Talk to you in the next episode, and bye for now.